Hello, everyone. My name is Russell Wright from Answer Marketing Agency, and I'm here with my business partner and longtime friend, Charles Heflin. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that you may have heard before, how marketers ruin everything, but they can't ruin this. Thanks for joining us, Charles. It's really great to be working with you on this project. I'm super excited about telling everybody what we're up to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure, and it's always fun to work with you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes.
Absolutely. And we're going to give you guys a little bit of our background, although many of you already know us. We've been working together off and on for the last probably a decade, and we launched a business together called ThemeZoom, which we'll get in towards the end. But we're going to talk to you today about the 5 phases of shrinking results and increasing effort. I love this because it really gives you an idea of why you have this sneaking suspicion, when you're buying a new product or a new marketing idea, or even joining a new platform like TikTok, or for a while it was Facebook groups, right, Charles, or any of these things that are out there. It seems like a lot of the market gets them when they're no longer working, right? And it leads people to believe that there's something wrong with them. And we're going to show you how that, you know what I mean, Charles? Like they think that,
Yeah,
yeah. And
it's happened to me It happens all the time. It's like, okay, well, by the time you're hearing it, it's like, okay, the first thing that comes to your mind is, why am I just now learning about this? And if it works so well, then why isn't everybody already doing it?
exactly. And so we're going to actually unlock that for you guys today. And we're going to talk about how results plummet over time and how efforts increase over time with this model. And so it begins pretty much like this. Again, some of you may have seen this, but in the innovation phase, everybody wants to be at the innovation phase where you're an insider. And that's the first phase during the innovation. And what do we mean by insider? It can be somebody who's invented the platform, or it's been investor infused with capital, like a new platform. I mean, I remember actually back when I was working with you, Charles, when Facebook was actually brand new. Like we were, we were still working with OpenAuth, and all these other things. These were new platforms.
Yeah, MySpace was on its way out, I think, at that time. So that
Exactly.
tells you how old we are.
Exactly. I remember when we were trying to set up a multiple video system back, and I think it was, what year was that? Probably like 2007 or 8 when we were working together. Yeah, MySpace was still on the list of places that you needed to promote and include. That was an example. Yeah. And so Facebook and MySpace are both examples of they both were an innovation and only one of them won. As you go down to the adoption phase, specifically when you're talking about internet marketing products and also SEO products. I've been in the SEO business as a manager and business creator for well over 10 years now. And the first business that Charles and I launched together was also SEO and software. So a mastermind happens generally after the innovation has started to wane a bit, because masterminds generally are high ticket items. In fact, my own masterminds for ThemeZoom and Network Empire were on average between $10,000 and $15,000 a seat. And, again, there was a lot of innovation there. But as you begin to leak your insider information, another example of that is the webinar, the automatic webinar systems. Uh, you know, um, a lot of the guys like I knew back in the day, and you did too, Charles, like Frank Kern, who's still an excellent marketer today. Once he sort of opened up with Ryan Dice the automatic webinar systems, it then went to the mastermind groups, which he charged fairly decent, high-priced tickets. Okay, and then from there, the new innovation or technique or method or platform or SEO backlinking method, insert whatever innovation you want to talk about here, goes to courses. You'll see courses start coming out. Back in the day, Charles, it was the Warrior Forum. Remember all that? And
Yep.
yeah, and that's one place that comes out. Or you might see it on Udemy or any other related platforms that are like that. Again, we have this happening over time. And the time that you might be wondering, well, how long does this take? Well, it depends. It depends on how saturated the market. I mean, look at TikTok. How long did it take YouTube Shorts to come out after TikTok started cutting into the market share of YouTube, right? I
Right.
mean, that hasn't been out very long. Like the YouTube Shorts just started coming in our phone. What was it, like a few months back? Mhm.
Not very long ago
Yeah,
at this point.
yeah, and you can see these things coming through because I actually watched the talk at YouTube. They had to compete with TikTok because TikTok is so addictive with the race to the brainstem, and it's going down this slope where results plummet.
Yep. I guess as soon as the master marketers get a hold of it at the masterminds level, then it's all seems like it's downhill from there.
Exactly, and I can speak from my own experience as an insider back in the day when you and I were working on ThemeZoom and the technology we built, Kraken, and you were right there during that. Your marketing efforts and technology advice were hugely important during that. It was later that we started as website silo architecture, which was very popular back then, got really known. Then we started doing masterminds, and then masterminds turned into our online trainings. And then what happens, especially with gimmicks and tactics, is they end up going to forums and groups. What ends up happening, I hate to say it, but a lot of the courses are stolen, or there's group buys that happen, and they go into the forums and groups. And there's a lot of illegal activity that happens out there, but that's to be expected. And when you see something in a forum or group, generally you've just rapidly bypassed this whole effectiveness, and then everybody knows. As soon as people start stealing your stuff or doing group buys or passing it around for free or sticking it up on Fiverr or a watered down version of that, that's when your
Yep.
hardest.
And so,
Go ahead.
and it's kind of the same thing, with that, and then also in the whole paid advertising industry. I remember when you could buy clicks for very cheap, and then as it's the same kind of thing. The market starts to become saturated with it, and you have to work harder and harder to get that same action that you did. But now your profit margins have shrunk considerably, so it
Exactly.
takes.
Exactly. And so what ends up happening is the systems like Google respond. There's another talk we're giving called SEOs ruin everything. It's true. The more that spam on the search engines happen, the team at Google then responds with hiring another 200 PhDs and doing what's called bypassing machine learning algorithms to kind of be able to tell the distinction between a human click and a robot. Okay, we've been through all these stages. So hopefully you get what Charles and I are trying to say here is your work increases. You should really just quit the method right here, in my opinion, or at least no, you don't want to go any farther past this page. But that's really, really hard work, and so it's almost useless, in fact, as everybody saturates it. Another example is YouTube has started paying their creators less money because more people are what everybody knows. More and more creators
Yep.
are coming in, and therefore everybody knows. Okay, so I think we've got that pretty clear. So this whole problem got us thinking. Most digital marketers and SEOs are playing a game that they can't win. You probably recognize some of these, but the house always wins in this case. So we want to. What we did is we set out with all of our experience over the last 10 years in marketing. We found and discovered a process that flips all of that lack of results on its head. So Charles and I set out to flip that entire problem on its head. What if you had a technology that was anti-fragile? We'll talk about that in a minute. But what if it got better the more people that got on board? Okay, that was the idea here. So during the innovation, the insiders would have it. They would start to execute. And even if it went to masterminds during the adoption phase where people talked about it and courses came out on it and it moved towards the forums and groups, and
Yep.
eventually everybody knows, but it was still effortless visibility. Would that even be possible? Would there be a system that got better the more people that used it? That's the bottom line here. Does such a thing exist? And the answer is yes. And over the years of inventing a variety of different machine learning systems, including ThemeZoom that Charles and I launched, and later on Network Empire. And Charles is an amazing brand and position expert, but he's also quite technical. He actually gets a lot of this deep learning stuff as we begin to re-engage with that. Effortless visibility over time. Okay, so that's the advantage we're going to talk to you guys about today. Okay, it's really, really cool when you understand it, but it's going to require just a little bit of kitchen table math and a little bit of insight and a little bit of future proofing, because we found a future proof plan with an AI human collaboration advantage. Okay, and what do we mean by that? Okay, so we call it human in the loop. And you'll hear a lot about that. Many of you who are watching this program are probably already familiar with machine learning. And you're probably familiar with AI, and you've seen all the hype coming out about it. And there's even some non-hype. It's really crazy stuff coming out. We've actually gone one step further, and we call that experts in the loop. Because humans in the loop, I don't know if you guys watch podcasts on AI or anything like the Lex Friedman podcast. Lex is really, really huge on human in the loop because it's an intelligent use of AI where you recognize what AI can't do. and what it can do. And once you understand that and how that works on the search engines, uh, everything begins to open up to you in this kind of anti-fragile. In other words, it works better the more people that use it. You'll understand why. So it improves both your brand's marketing conversion and SEO results at the same time. And that's the whole point. And of course, you have a sneak peek here. You have the lobby at Google, at least one of them, and you have Quora. Okay, so these are two of the primary systems and their back-end AI systems that we use, especially with Expert in the Loop. You put these things together in the right way, and there's a few other things like LinkedIn and YouTube, but those are just natural connective tissue between these two. You'll begin to see how it will always work better, even when there's an innovation stagnation stage for everything else. Okay, so we're feeding the AI, but we're also feeding humans. In fact, the more you do it, like I said before, the stronger your brand gets. Okay, so the book Anti-Fragile, strongly recommend it. Very, very cool. Same author as The Black Swan. Basically, the entire book is studying systems that get stronger under stress. Systems get stronger under stress, like your bone density. Bones that are not exercised, like when you don't walk or run or do any weightlifting or anything, more importantly, walking, your bones get weaker and your bone density gets thinner. So our bodies are designed as anti-fragile systems. They get stronger the more you use them effectively and the more money you make. Go ahead, Charles.
It's like the Chinese finger trap. The harder you pull, the tighter the
Tighter it
grip.
gets. Yep, that's a reverse anti-fragile system because it's a trap. You know. Yeah, we should put a diagram of that
Yep.
on there. That's a really great idea. And the more money you make, okay, the more sales conversion, the more leads you get, the more traffic get to your site, the more video reviews. And again, we're not saying that there's not going to be a market share, that your product and innovation and advice and expert in the loop has to be superior to everyone else. But it doesn't really matter how many people saturate the market, because the best expert and the best insight and the most number of the person who's trained the AI the best wins. So it doesn't matter what your brand objectives are for the most part, as long as they fall in some of these categories. Conversion, app installs, traffic, lead generation, video views is even available, awareness, brand awareness or cost per million. That's part of it. The future-proof marketing system that we're going to show you massively rewards your brand with high visibility and trust. And this massive reward is given by multiple search engines. This is Bruce's search engine relationship chart. Charles and I were using a lot of those types of charts back in the day in the early 2000s. So much has changed. Most people do not know that for the most part, all of these search engines are sharing data within the machine learning network. In fact, this diagram is not necessarily the most accurate anymore. We'll get into that later, but when you follow the mechanisms and take advantage of the technologies that we're going to show you, all of these types of search engines automatically will integrate and know that your brand is part of that system. And this all happens while converting high quality leads into trusting customers on Quora. Quora is one of the primary answer platforms we use, and for good reason. We'll talk more about that. But we also use other answer platforms. More are coming. But how do we do this? How does this work? So maybe you've heard the quote by Wayne Gretzky, skate to where the puck is going to be, not where it has been. So here's something that we built to give you an idea. You've probably seen this around a little bit. Some of you have seen the Gartner hype chart here, where people come in and they're really, really excited about something, and something goes to its peak. And then you go through this trial of disillusionment. Okay, and most people are here. Like right now, the entire industry, especially the SEO industry, is right there. You know, Chat GPT or GPT Chat and OpenAI, they're all the new, this is going to replace human beings, and now we can spam the search engines with all these robots. They really don't understand fully how machine learning actually works. In fact, even if you ask GPT Chat if it creates new content or anything unique, it will tell you that it doesn't. We actually tested that, which is kind of funny. Now, that, don't get me wrong, there's amazing stuff coming, but that's not really, we want you to be here. Okay, we want you to be an expert in the loop. We want you to be so far ahead from all the hype of AI replacing human beings and replacing experts and all that stuff. We are so far away from that. In fact, there's going to be more and more people needed who understand what AI is and what it is not, and they will be experts in the loop to help guide the process of how that works. And so answer marketing is your advantage. So what is exactly the answer marketing advantage? Well, one way of looking at it is that we're at the intersection of machine learning and human expertise. That's kind of what we're showing here. So everybody is hyping artificial intelligence everywhere, as we just said, but very few understand it. Have you seen a lot of chats and AI stuff out there on your feed, Charles?
I've seen a lot of it, so I definitely see what you're talking about with the Gartner hype cycle there. I think we're about to crest up to the top of that, and then when people start to realize that AI can't do the things that they're thinking it can do, or they find out that they're going to get in big trouble by doing those things,
Yep,
then it's going to come crashing down into the trough of disillusionment, and that's
exactly.
what we're
And
past that.
exactly. So we're also going to be giving you future-proof answers to how anything that AI does replace in terms of humans. Those who understand how this works and acts as an expert in the loop will have the advantage from a long time to come. And that is the main thing about the main thing. Okay. So here's somebody that we both follow, Lawrence Moroney. Lawrence is a Google AI expert, and he explains where AI currently exists. And so what I love about Lawrence is that he teaches machine learning at Google to thousands of programmers around the world as well. And I thought it was amazing because he also uses the Gartner technology hype cycle. And I found that independent. And Charles and I built our slides and our presentation independently of this. And then after studying one of his videos, I saw that he also uses it. So again, this is this whole idea. We want you to be way over here. And we're going to talk to you about why. Now we're going to get into some technical nitty gritty. You don't have to be a rocket science, but I do want you to understand the basic outline because it's a huge claim when somebody says, hey, I can flip the entire thing on its head. The more people that do something, the better it gets. I mean, that's a huge anti-fragile claim. So in order to validate that claim, I need to be able to talk to you about some basic things. So to keep things simple, we divide the history of search and all forms of related marketing. When I say related marketing, it means that in some way, these other technology machine learning systems and advertising systems and ad systems are indirectly related based on impressions. Okay, I like this Mark Zuckerberg saying, Senator, we run ads. But here's the related things: pay-per-click search, display advertising, secondary search engines, organic search rankings, e-commerce advertising, um, and more. Okay, so these are related marketing that have systems on the back end of Google and also Bing, Yahoo, and AOL who actually slurp a lot of their results and a lot of their impression arbitrage into those systems. So we divided this into two paradigms, kind of like BC and AD for history. Before Google Knowledge Panel, 1998 to 2010, and after Google Knowledge Graph. I'm sorry, Google Knowledge Graph, not panel. We'll talk about panels later. 2010 to the present. Does that help a little bit? Because by knowing, for those of you who have not been in the SEO industry or the machine learning industry or the search retrieval industry, I just wanted to keep things really simple. Those of us in the field who are super hardcore geeks, and there's people way geekier than me, we kind of noticed the change happen around 2010 through 12. And we're going to talk about what happened and why that's important for you and how we can make our claim of a system getting more and more effective as time goes by. But you got to know this split. So just think 2010 and then 2010 to now. Okay, so what do we mean by the Google Knowledge Graph? So in 2010, there's a database called Freebase. It was developed by an American software company, MetaWeb, and run publicly beginning in March 2007. And my friend Kevin Pauly was very, very deep in the systems of Freebase, and you probably see me quote him from time to time or seen other webinars that I've been on, as we were right there during the original semantic web launch. And we just thought it was really, really cool. So you can see over here, this is a knowledge panel that I extracted right from the search engine when I typed in Freebase company. Okay, so this is actually part of the knowledge graph that we're talking about. And Freebase is the thing that basically was the first knowledge graph. And Google wanted to take these facts and be able to turn them into a better search engine result for people. Okay, so for example, when I type in Google Knowledge Graph, I actually get the knowledge graph panel for Google Knowledge Graph. And they figured, oh, this is way better. See how huge this real estate is right here? That real estate is gigantic. And it earned that real estate because it is a stationary fact. So Google announced its knowledge graph on May 16th, 2012 as a way to significantly enhance the value of information returned by Google. And in 2014, much to my personal dismay, because I had submitted a whole bunch of things into that database hoping I would get better rankings, and They decided to take Freebase. It was bought by Google, and they moved and dismantled it, and they moved it to Wikidata. In fact, today, if you type in freebase.com, you'll see it's a 404 error, and that's Google. You can try that yourself, at least the time of this presentation. Why did they do this, Charles? This is Dr. Evil.
I wonder why.
Why did they do this? Okay, well, we're about to find out. So, the old paradigm and the old paradigm of programming search engines. Before Google Knowledge Graph, 1998, 2010, like we just said. Let's talk about it. And let's use Lawrence's great basic or machine learning for dummies kind of expressions. In the old traditional programming language, in fact, many languages that many of you probably have studied, you have rules and data, and then they program these rules and these data, and then it spits the answer out. Makes sense? And in an example, Lawrence gave you an example of, like, for example, if you were trying to program Pong, the video game, you would have to program the location, well, the trajectory and speed of the ball, and where to move the bat. And in order to do that, you have to pretty much program everything in. So it's pre-programming it in order to look like the answers are something new coming out of the system, but they're not. They've all been programmed in. Okay. Now, traditional search engine programming before Google Knowledge Graph was the same way. There was rules, data, old Google search updates, and the answers were spit out. And it was, any of you who've done any SEO or search engine optimization know that classic on-page and off-page factors, those are the rules. In fact, Charles and I spent thousands of hours and taught hundreds of people about these rules. Charles is your first document out there that pretty much launched a machine learning company, one of the earlier, our company, ThemeZoom, which was a co-occurrence and natural language processing software, right? Charles did all the writing for all that stuff, and basically all that it was classic on-page and off-page factors. They were just
Yep.
factors. Remember Charles was like, "How do you set up your website? What are the rules?"
Right. Yeah. And there was a structure to it, and you had to follow these exact rules, and you had to get it just right. And
That's
oh
it.
yeah, that
That's
was
it.
fun.
That's it. And okay, well then what is the data? Well, the spiders that crawl everywhere. The spider gets what the spider wants. Google invented this thing called a crawler. And the crawler's job is to crawl and parse as much data as possible around the web, like millions upon millions of terabytes a minute. Okay, and that's what they're doing. And they parse your website, and they borrow the texts and the HTML and the links, and they decide the value of. What's interesting is those spiders just simply decide what is the value of this content, and is it worth indexing, and what is the cost of us not indexing this. Okay, we'll get into that later, but this is advanced, just basic programming. And then, of course, they would spit back what's a SERP, search engine result page. So what we were doing in the early on with SEO, and Charles is pushing the content out to the market and trying to train and teach people, is we were trying to understand all those rules and bend those rules to our favor. Okay, this is all prior to 2010, which was what? Prior to the knowledge graph and the movement forward in that. Here's the new paradigm, though, and the new paradigm of programming search engines, which is why so many SEOs who just thought they could purchase a bunch of links, or marketing innovations that thought they could just make things easy, don't work anymore. Okay, so this all happened after the Google Knowledge Graph, 2010 to the present. New paradigm machine learning search engines. Okay, with experts in the loop. Okay, we're going to talk about how we deal with that. So machine learning paradigm. You give the answers and the data to the machine, and then the machine puts out the rules. That's the major distinction here, is that the machine puts out the rules. So in essence, the rules are being figured out by the programmer. Instead of the rules being figured out by the programmer, what if we gave the computer the answers in advance? Okay, this is a very superficial explanation, but we're going to show you kind of what we mean. And you can have a computer figure out what the rules and the patterns are. Okay, so this is all the pattern recognition stuff that's out there, and those of you who are a little bit more advanced probably know a little bit more about how they're programming it. So here's the old paradigm search, and here's the new paradigm search. So we're giving it the answer. So what I'm trying to bring together here is when they purchased Freebase, the knowledge graph was them purchasing all the answers in advance, all created by humans in the loop. Think about Wikipedia, Charles, right? Wikipedia and Wikidata,
Hmm.
these are all humans put those together. I can't even tell you how many. I joke around with Kevin Polly. It's like, thanks a lot, man, because I put, like, it's just joking, of course, right? I put like an entire week programming all of our content and data into Freebase, and then they bought it and dismantled it. Right? Those were human beings. That was like hours upon hours of my time. And then
Right.
they just bought it and said, "Toodaloo, we now have our answers. The machine is trained." Or as my friend Jimmy Kelley likes to say, they trained the AI and they just abandoned us. Right? Like that's what,
Yep.
you know, and
They chewed you up and spit you
yeah.
out.
And for any Google engineers listening to me, because I do have friends who are Google engineers and the rest, it's like, take it with a grain of salt. I'm just saying, nobody would argue that. There's no engineers that I know that would argue with that. And Matt Cutts, again, when we were at SEO conferences and the head of spam, who I knew back in the day before he left, he was dealing with all spam from the traditional programming. Okay, this stuff is incredibly intelligent. Okay, and so because they purchased a bunch of answers, so search engines today work the same way. Okay, let's look at what changed. Instead of having your trying to figure out the rules, which we had on the previous one, you've got the knowledge graph, Freebase, Wikidata. They have all those solid answers. Okay, and the Google Entity Vector Correlation. This is fancy geek speak for magic that happens to correlate keywords and content from those fixed answers. And then the machine learning search engine spits out the rules. And then it does pattern recognition to determine whether or not your brand has successfully, or you as a person, has successfully connected all the dots. And Google is still pretty stupid when it comes to having to be told where all the answers are and all the connection points to create a knowledge panel. Okay, but what we're going to be showing you that is evergreen, that gets better as time goes on, is your own brand answer engine. If you're not doing this right now, you need to start. Okay, if you're not going to do it with us, then you need to begin to have a campaign happening because you'll be so far ahead of the curve. So Quora, answers, data, magic. Here's the stuff that's Google patents. Okay, vector correlation is stuff. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. You don't need to figure this stuff out. But what you do need to do is put the answers in and know that the machine is going to try to correlate your answers and your authority and your to your brand, your EAT, your authoritativeness, your trust, and so on. By answering questions related to your brand, products, and expertise, the pattern recognizes your brand as the rule. This is when people get it and the penny drops for them, they get it. Let's go back. I don't want to let this. We want your brand to become the rule around certain topics. So, for example, if your topic is like one of our clients is real estate marketing or real estate investing, if you create enough connection points and are a helpful organization, person, brand, or company to all the people in the various parts of the sales funnel, which, by the way, you should be optimizing anyways. That's the beauty of all this. This is stuff that you need to do anyways. When you're
Right.
doing that, it'll start to recognize your brand as the rule.
So we're essentially programming the machine learning system to recognize your brand as the answer. So you're
Correct.
putting the answers in.
You become the answer, as Charles likes to say. That's it. And it's not figurative, it's not marketing hype. It's so funny because here we are in the age of AI, and it's going to get really weird over the next 10 years, I promise you, because I follow this stuff every day. It's still the same, though. Your brand, if it's helpful, if it's providing context, if it's putting the content in the correct place, your brand is associated with the rules on the search engine results, and the homepage on the search engine results can become the ultimate business card, which we'll talk about here in a second. By answering questions. Okay, so we get this. It's a mind blower. Okay, so in the beginning, I revealed the 5 phases of the shrinking results. Okay, this is the stuff we were telling you about how it doesn't work and it gets harder, as people know, as the reason why most companies fail. They fall victim to increasing costs and efforts. So Charles, let's just talk about like our past, and we'll be honest and transparent as we have our podcast on this stuff. We'll be sharing more and more of these things with you guys. We have no problem sharing our failures because what's so funny about machine learning is it really is about computational failure. It's like failing faster.
Yep.
When you're programming all the answers in, you want to make sure. Did you know that machine learning, Charles, has a hard time recognizing which is the biggest problem? Like it might recognize the patterns, but
Hmm.
it doesn't do anything with the patterns that are too hard to recognize. That's where the human in the loop comes in.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Still need the human.
you really do, and you're going to need expertise. So profits keep getting smaller and smaller on those old models, and for good reason. So let's throw out some things. Charles and I have already talked about things that we've done in the past that are great examples of this innovator's dilemma type concept. Okay, Facebook groups has gotten really, really popular. Everybody's using it, right? We have automatic webinars. Normally in a webinar, we will just have people like drop, what do they use that works so well and then it stopped working, right? There's just so many of them. I remember for SEO, it was primarily a product called GSA. Okay, it was a software system that people would set up a server and they would just literally GAT links like Star Wars, like just Machine Gun Alley. They would shoot millions upon millions of links and try to, spam a site. And that actually used to work. Like in 2007, you could do that, and it stopped working because then Google adjusted and everybody knows, and then it creates a massive spam problem. So these are just perfect examples of stuff not working where the profits get smaller. And by the way,
Yeah, yeah.
uh-huh.
Generally, by the time you're hearing about it, it's probably too late.
That's a
you know.
great, Charles, that's a great way of saying it because, and that's very disheartening for people too. Because I want to emphasize this because the person who taught me a lot about these methods and about the innovation period problem, um, the biggest takeaway for blind spots is it makes you think that there's something wrong with you. If somebody is selling you something upstream and it gets down to these phases and it no longer works, if you keep doing that, especially if you're a bright, shiny object person or a web junkie, or back in the day, it was a Warrior Forum junkie where you bought just everything that came through. And by the way, this is not saying that there's not amazing products. In fact, I still watch all the innovations. Marketers innovate a lot. They may ruin everything, but they also create a lot. So, you got to watch where they're going. But if you've heard about it, like Charles said, it's probably already out there and it's probably at least think about what do you mean hear about it? Are you buying a course? Did you pick it up at a mastermind? If you pick it up at a mastermind, you better reserve an extra $20,000 or $30,000 just to push it in the market because it's going to be gone soon. So that's the main thing we want you guys to know. We also reveal how machine learning algorithms operate using a different model. Now, this is a little complicated, but as the new data is consumed by machine learning, the AI process continually improves the result even when everybody knows. Okay, so that everybody knows model. This is the founder of Quora, who I follow a lot, because Quora is a brilliant platform. This is just a video of him talking about how the Quora machine learning platform uses. This is the same place that we answer and prepare multiple levels of keywords and questions and answers that are ranked very, very high throughout the entire Quora network. Very, very amazing stuff. In other words, results will get better and better over time. Okay, this is what we want you to understand. So similar to how Google search has improved over time since the Google Knowledge Graph programming shift, after Google Knowledge Graph 2010 to present. So we want to put you on that streamline to where it becomes obvious to everybody, the AI hype, that it's actually experts in the loop that will make the world a better place, and you're already there. So as you answer target market questions, your brand will also continually improve over time. When we say your brand will also continually improve, we're talking about the search engines, we're talking about inside the Quora platforms, and all the other syndication places that these answers end up. Also, you can put the answers on your website as the spearhead or the capstone. Okay, so how does that all work out? Well, consistent expert answers organized around your brand topics with consistent brand identity increases trust around the web, triggering approved knowledge graph real estate like knowledge panels. Now, there's a bit more to knowledge panels than only training the machine learning, but it gives you a huge start to making sure that Google becomes your business page. Like your the front page of Google, the first page. You probably heard that. Where do brands go to die? The second page of Google. Where do you bury bodies? The second page of Google. It's very much true, but we're taking that one step further. This image is from my friend Jason from Polycube. We work with a lot of people around the world who understand knowledge panels, but there's actually very, very few who understand at the level that we do. Okay, so by setting up an answer marketing campaign, you're putting yourself in a position to really, really excel at integrating your knowledge panel. You're way ahead of most people. Here's examples of personal knowledge panels of author entities. And these guys are on the knowledge graph. If you have something like this popping, it means that your knowledge graph for your keyword, in this case, the keyword was the author's name. Ina Garten, Carmen Gallo. Here's some other examples. Elon Musk has a knowledge panel. His knowledge panel is not even claimed. You can see here. He doesn't care about it. But it generates it on its own because he has so many points just because of his celebrity status. But if you don't have one of these, Basically, by starting to answer questions and become an authority on your topic and theme, you're building your knowledge panel, and you start to move towards being able to have that. Here is Locify, where the company that I work with that does all of my local type of search and SEO. You can see that we're well on our way to fully developing the knowledge panel. It just needs to populate with some more items in here, and there's some more dots that need to be connected and some more answers. We're running an answer campaign right now, and it'll continue to uh, expand and develop. Here's another knowledge panel that I helped create for one of my clients, and it was for a book. You can tell the book Unlock Your Potential, the ultimate guide, and it's not just that keyword. There's many layers of the decryption key that allow that to be there, and this is also part of the knowledge graph. So knowledge graphs are not limited to a person or a company. They can also be a book or a product. So while triggering the knowledge graph panel requires more than just answering questions on Quora, you are light years ahead of everyone else. So we're setting you up for future success. Did you know that most businesses, less than half of the businesses on the internet, have a knowledge panel? They don't view the first page of Google as their calling card, as their business card. In fact, they're afraid of it. They're afraid of negative reviews. They're afraid of all the bad things that happen, right? You don't have to worry about that. When you start training the machines by giving expert answers and helping people, your brand equity goes up, the value, your perceived value goes up with the humans that are interacting with you on your way to training the robots. Another example of why you do this is Google's EAT algorithm. EAT stands for expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Okay, Google judges pages based on credibility of the page, the author, and the website. Okay, and check this out. This is true for their automatic algorithms of connecting the dots, but guess what? It's also kind of funny. The EAT was written for, guess what? Their own human quality raters. Does that sound like human in the loop? That's kind of funny. Their own EAT program was set up for human beings. If you want to go work for Google, we can send you the location. You could just go and say, "Hey, I want to be a quality rater." You can make, 9, $10 an hour all day. All you do is look at sites in high dollar trafficked areas, the same kind of traffic keywords and topics that we cover for you in your campaign. And they have humans that, just in case you think AI is perfect and that there's a robot that's walking around over at Google and, auditing it, that's nonsense. We're so far away from that. They hire thousands upon thousands of humans to check these pages. And they call it EAT. And that's exactly what we're saying. That's human in the loop. All of our standards pass all these human inspections on Google. There's no human that would look at anything we do for you and not think, wow, this is amazing. Okay, so the machine learning algorithms are ravenously hungry for more expert answers, so the AI can spit out ever improving results. I love this Goldberg machine GIF because it just shows like how much is going on behind the scenes. And notice how many humans there are. There's always some sort of human in the loop. And if you've ever visited the Googleplex or hung out with any of the engineers, and I have, there's a lot of human in the loop and expert in the loop, like tons of it. So you don't have to do it all. So as you feed more answers to the machine, the efforts you need to maintain your visibility will decrease over time. So hopefully that gives you the compelling reason why this is an anti-fragile system, because Google continues to use these expert answers that we provide you on an answer campaign to train their systems. And humans prefer soft touch. Humans prefer other humans. There's a significant amount of study that shows that. We have not inserted those studies here, but while helping thousands of potentially millions of real humans seeking answers to questions you have answered expertly. Okay, this is the idea where it's a hybrid. It's a human machine learning hybrid where a lot of companies have one budget for marketing, they have one budget for FAQ, they have one budget for reputation management. Honestly, that's all the same stuff. Okay, and if you want to know more about reputation management and SEO, you can visit our other company, which Charles is also the CEO of, which is Surround Sound SEO, and we deal exclusively with difficult situations where you have maybe negative reviews and these types of things. But answering questions resolves all of that long term because you're being helpful. Also, long-term integration into Google's knowledge graph is a huge plus if you like building your authority on Google. Okay. So here at Answer Marketing Agency, we know where and how to feed the machine learning algorithms with expert answers to take advantage of how modern AI works. This is our little diagram, which I thought was fun. So it goes from Quora experts, we feed it the answers. Google is impressed, and then it distributes. Based on the types of keywords and questions that we answer, customer reviews go up because they can tell you're bending over backwards to help them. And then of course they're more likely to make a sale or a download. In fact, Quora is very, very effective because of the quality of the people and the type of audience. And it programs the digital landscape with your brand's knowledge and trust. Okay, we will uncover the questions during a campaign that your target audience is already asking, and then we will implement a strategy to rank your brand as the answer to all of them. And again, answering questions that are leading to sales, we don't just cover only the top of the funnel stuff, like for example, what is real estate investing, right? We actually focus on that because that's your centroid. It's a defined term or top of the funnel. But the bottom of the funnel and the transactional terms, in other words, terms that will lead to sales, we also answer those questions. And with our technology, we rank very, very highly inside of Quora and other locations because of just the way that we set things up. And it's all done through helpful technologies that are designed to make Quora a better platform, make Google a better platform, and make your brand the only viable choice. And that's really, really cool. And that's a hard thing to do. We've been working on this for a while. So we will implement a strategy to rank your brand as the answer to all of these questions. So, wow, that's a mouthful, but I'll read it quickly. Our goal is to fast track your company past the hype cycle and immediately place you on the plateau of productivity. Okay, so that's the main thing. We want you to be
Yep.
here today. You have something to add to that?
We want to keep you out of the trough of disillusionment because
Yes.
it's a nasty desert. You can get trapped in there. I mean,
You really do. Both you and I have had experiences of that. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah, we've built technologies before that we weren't quite, we had a great thing, but we weren't quite there soon enough.
yep,
Like Kraken was the second version of that. Well, yeah, I don't need to get into that with our audience, but Charles and I have both had that where we're trying to jump on a bandwagon and we could get there pretty fast. I mean, Charles has great marketing techniques and methods and team building skills, but even so, if you're up against hundreds of millions of dollars and there's huge amounts of corporations that are doing this and it gets worse, it's diminishing over time. The average mid-sized business, because we have a lot of mid-sized businesses that work with us because they can afford the pricing that we have, whereas it's not just targeting big brands. Because of that, they get stuck here, and they're like, this is the something wrong with me thing I was saying before, Charles. There's something
yep,
wrong with me. No, the only thing wrong with you is that you didn't know that you're being sold stuff that's already been used up. You're in a used car lot for methods and technologies and innovations.
right,
So,
yep. That's a good way to say it.
I hate to say it, but that's the big secret, by the way. All the internet marketers out there who, like, I appreciate them all. I hung out with them all. I've surfed with some of them. I went to their conferences. I became friends with them. They all know this, guys. They all know this. So all of this while feeding your future customers the answers they seek. In other words, you're doing everything at once. You're doing your customer support, your positive review, your brand equity building, your SEO, and your marketing all at the same time with this type of a campaign. It's really easy to not see that. So we want to make sure you do. Our goal is to help your company become the answer to the questions your future customers are already asking. So, Charles, we were talking about this. I couldn't find the video, but I have a video somewhere in my archive where Larry Page of Google is saying, "Yeah, my ultimate goal is I should be able to wake up in the morning and ask, Google, okay, Google, what should I do today?" And it should be able to tell me. Now, where it gets a little creepy is like, okay, Google, what should I believe? Well, yeah, you got to draw the line
Right.
somewhere.
Yeah.
But
We need the human in the loop,
yeah, we need a
please.
human in the loop, and it's like, but it was so funny because Larry Page was so, I mean, he's the ultimate human in the loop, so to speak. But even he was like, no, ultimately, I want this thing to tell people, we don't want AI to get
Right.
to a point where it's telling you what to believe, but the problem with current algorithms, which AI is correcting, is that you get what you're looking for. It's a feedback loop. So AI will help you find new innovative things. We have covered some massively significant issues and facts that have hopefully dispelled the myths you might be holding while shedding light on new strategies, increasing results over time. So we know our solution is great. We love our own product. We also know that wisdom is great, but without action, nothing happens. So we're going to make you an offer, but we're going to talk about how we customize that to your needs. And since we're a startup as answer marketing, but our other companies are mostly SEO. But we specifically want to focus on Quora experts, humans in the loops, and work with all. This has become a high demand type of environment. And the more that Charles and I have seen what this is, the more we're aware that we need to stick with this. It's entirely possible that search and the whole framework of conventional search. That means 99.9% of all the trainings and masterminds out there no longer work. And believe me, I do get this stuff. I run a mastermind for SEO with some of the best SEOs in the world, and we know what we're talking about. You want to be where the ball is going on this, and it's going towards machine learning and answer marketing. We will be working with a limited number of clients as we scale to build an answer marketing campaign. And during this process, we'll uncover all the questions that your target market is asking. And we do this by getting to know your company during a discovery call and making sure we understand exactly what your product is. You need to match the questions to a product slope. So, and then we inject your answers at critical points to ensure they are consumed by the machine learning algorithms. We do this on Quora with a strong attention to Google. Okay, while creating leads, traffics, and sales simultaneously. And the way that we say that is like when you start answering Quora questions and becoming highly elevated within that platform, meaning you have popular answers because our answers that we provide, if you provide the content, we add and change some things, and if you do not, then there is a program we have where we can do that for you. But in either case, we're always providing excellent expert content, and we're also recommending video and text answers, and we're only providing answers from an expert perspective. Okay. If you have experts on staff, we can work with them and we'll organize all that because programming the AI with machine learning requires that we use our own technology, our own API, and set things up the way that we need to set them up so that your answers across the topic inside Quora, your brand becomes the primary influence within that environment. And by the way, we're not saying there's not competition inside Quora or other locations on Google. What we're saying is none of those locations are considering the vision and the long-term results. They're not future-proofing. And most of the answers in campaigns that we see happening in the organic side of Quora and Google, they don't have a lot of long-term vision. They're not looking about becoming the viable option in that category and owning the expertise, the expert human in the loop across an entire category. That's what we're doing. We're in for the long term with you on that. Number 3 is we will measure ranking results from the beginning so you can see direct improvements and answer visibility inside the Quora platform and on search engines like Google as well. So here's some live case studies. So we also run an SEO agency, Surround Sound SEO. And here is how we measure the value of page 1 keywords, give or take. And this is also something I do with my local search company and others called Locify. This is how we manage. So we take cost per click times volume times 30%. Cost per click, volume times 30%. And what our sales team does with that is it gives us a place to have a conversation in terms of value. So here's an example of a client with a keyword that we provided multiple rankings with a higher position owned by Quora. Okay, this was actually a surround sound campaign, but it had a answer marketing campaign integrated directly into it, which was, by the way, the most important aspect of this campaign because of the amount of traffic that Quora would draw from this. This is the example of having the Google search engine result page 1, or a page 1 as your business card. We needed to push down some negative things and so that he owned every URL on that. So a single keyword valuation estimate would be 8,100 times 25 times 30%. So this is SEMrush's magic keyword tool. And what this does, this estimates and gives a conversation piece about the value of a term. And again, as during sales, there's other things we consider when talking to a client. Like we don't necessarily automatically tell them, hey, this is going to be $60,000 a month. But it gives us a conversation piece. And usually when you're talking to the client, their traffic from Google, if they're converting, is way, way above the amount, depending upon the term, especially if it's a commercial term. The main thing to note is that if this is a informational term, we wouldn't charge that much. But if it's a commercial term, then that's the valuation. We're just giving you a basic overview. So that's only for your Google ranking, a commercial term or a transactional term as well. $62,000 would be per month. This is a very, very expensive term, but this is not uncommon during a search reputation management campaign. But additionally, we have to take into account Quora's own value of paid impressions in your brand category. $10 per thousand, or CPM. So they suggested, for example, in real estate investing, which is the category, that we bid $10 per 1,000 impressions. Okay, so with over 7 million weekly impressions and only one topic, for example, if you were doing a campaign for real estate investing, This is up to 7 million impressions across this category and correlating categories. And that's an example here. But what's the math? I think I might have got this weird, but 7 million weekly impressions times 4 divided by 1,000. This should be CPM. Times $10. $280,000 per month potential outspend. This is what you call maximizing. It doesn't mean that you're going to run a campaign like that, but we need to start somewhere. This is the valuation that Quora gives their CPM, their thousands of impressions at $10. So by blowing that out, by looking at what the potential impressions could be, you could easily spend $280,000 theoretically with that. Okay. And that's plus, then you add the Google rankings to it and for one single keyword, and then you have an astronomical number that no small business or medium business, in fact, a large Fortune 100 would probably, take a deep breath when looking at these kinds of numbers if you tried to sell that to them. But here's the thing. That estimated CPM rate of 342,000 is combined Quora plus Google. This is value. We just have to have some way to evaluate the platforms of having that much authority on Quora combined with Google. So true, answering questions and organic exposure over time is not the same as instantly turning on, 7 million impressions a week. We get that. But that's the point, is in a way it's better to do what we're offering you as we're providing this service at a fraction of the cost. And when I say a fraction of the cost, I mean we're talking insane. You can start working with us for as little as $3,000 during our startup phases only. Okay, when we have larger brands coming in, which we do, we'll of course not be able to offer that. But so we're doing all of this while building a digital real estate with trusted expert in the loop answers that will support your brand always. Okay, that expert can be people on your own staff, or the done for you model that we can provide that for as well. Okay, and so like I said, you can take your answers and properties with you whenever you want. That means if you end working with us or you pass the 3 month point and you've decided to move on or you want to pause for a moment, you can still take the technologies that we've used and that digital real estate will be yours still. So we don't obviously don't charge you the huge SEO prices like that because everything we do in answer marketing is stacked and serves multiple purposes. There's a lot of reasons why. Also, we're a startup, so $3,000 a month includes a consultation, and then we also have higher packages depending upon how big you want to go. But that would be the minimum. It's not really worth starting up. If you want a lower monthly price, it's going to have a startup fee on it, but just call and talk to myself or Charles or another staff member, and we will work on that with you. And don't not call us if you're not sure because we can help you. And positive search engine rankings are not the only destination we're taking you. We're playing a multi-level machine learning game here with you guys. So during an answer marketing campaign, we go much farther than fixating on SEO keywords. Okay. We also provide expert answers inside of Quora with highly desirable, accurate, and helpful content for humans interested in your brand, product, service, or insight. Here's an example of a campaign which I cannot show that's classified, but we have most of the answers in this particular centroid. Okay, and this answer is responsible for a lot of traffic to the customer's site and a massive improvement of their online reputation. Okay, that was a huge aspect. You have something to add there, Charles?
Yeah, so I guess what you're showing here, if I understand correct, what you have is basically all the answers for the question are ones that we were controlling in this specific instance.
Yes, I'm saying that a little bit sheepishly because that's part of our IP. But yes, in a very intense situation, it's very, very difficult for our answers get voted up a lot, and we don't fake any of that stuff. But usually our answers are just really good. And if I do multiple answers in an expert way, using our technology, using the answer marketing technology, if we need to, we can create a roadblock or at least be the predominant answers. Now, it's not to say that uh, every time the browser loads in Quora, different answers get shared. In fact, even in some of our answers, we give kudos to other experts. We're not here in this environment to destroy other people. That's not really what it is. It's not that kind of SEO mindset. What it is may the best answer win. And yes, so in this case, um, these are all expert answers that came from our system. As we answer and rank more and more questions over time, the helpful content snowballs your brand into the trusted expert authority inside and outside of Quora. Now, one of the things that happens is that they have all kinds of advertising as well, like related answers. But if we start answering enough of your questions, your related answers, we also answer questions that are related. So we start taking on the whole semantic stack. So even if there's related questions that they insert on a question off of the search engine, we will also have a presence. So over the course of a year, again, you see these types of results within 72 hours in some cases. You'll start when we start answering, getting the content up there, you'll see predominant expert answers happening, and you'll see those results very, very quickly. Google takes a little bit longer. It can take anywhere from 30 days to 90 days for these questions to pop on page one. But all of it works together, and the cool thing is that when you get traffic and sales and conversion from Quora through that, it's all worth it. So it's like a earn while you train the AI system. Humans are reading this stuff, and they're looking for humans in the loop to guide them along their path. So you want to match that path. You want to match your products and services to answers related to decisions that have to be made. We want your product to become the answer, like Charles says. We want it to become the answer
Right.
for whatever topic we're engaging in.
Yeah, it goes back to the way back in the day when we were first working together. Uh, with Theme Zoom, it always fell back to doing that thing that's most valuable to humans, and that is helping humans in your marketplace, and then you're just going to naturally win anyways. And we're just helping it along here with technology.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing, isn't it? Because we've taken the human in a loop approach, and more importantly, the expert in the loop approach, as you pointed out, we should start using. What happens is it's a twofer. You're doing multiple layers. You're helping humans while with a conscious strategy of answering every possible question that ever comes up around this topic forever. And you should do this as long as you can. And the more you do it, the more results you'll see. This is what we mean by better and better over time. The more questions you answer, even slowly over time, you can go as quickly or as slowly as you want to go. I mean, you can't answer like 500 questions in one day. That's not what we're. You can, but that doesn't have the same kind of impact. You want to put quality answers in. So you can add new
Yep.
expert. Yeah, so we also map out your expert answers in relationship to your financial goals. Here's one of the map models we use, and we have others we use, and add new expert answers each and every month so you keep growing. So when you're working with us, we add new questions every month, and we don't stop intensifying the other the other answers. The other answers are still being optimized. They're still moving, and
Yep.
they'll still continue to grow more and more authority. So every answer that you have continues to grow and strengthen over time.
The result is cumulative. So what you do yesterday impacts on what's happening today. So it builds up
Yeah, it really
authority
does.
over time.
It really
Yep.
does. It strengthens because we do have our API systems and different technologies that we use, and it strengthens it over time. Okay,
Yeah.
that's part of
Like
the.
the Chinese finger trap.
It
Yeah.
is, yeah. We're using technology to strengthen the AI, and but we're also 100% sensitive to the fact that these are all for humans. We're taking a compassionate approach. We're answering the questions the best that we can, and becoming more and more of an authority in the minds of your buyers and customers and future customers. And if you do that over time, there's something like a critical mass that happens. So here's why we love Quora, and you should too. This is a little plug for just Quora as a company because it's really at the heart of this. It's not dependent upon this. Okay, Quora's everybody's known about Quora for a long time. Okay, but it's when you start looking in multiple technology companies that you have to start seeing how we're using this. So Quora's one answer platform is probably the best out there. And there's a variety of reasons why. People come to Quora looking for answers all the time from all over the world, and we can break it down into demographics. And even when we showed you before that Quora has its own paid program, we can also help you manage that. Those work very complementary to our organic question answering system, not required, but we are working right now. We're currently working with Quora to become a certified agency. So that's very exciting as well. Quora's mission is to share and grow the world's knowledge. That is actually also my personal knowledge, my personal mission. And I know Charles too. We want
Yep.
people to have access to information that's human and expert in the loop. That's not just regurgitated from some chat AI bot, but the chat AI bots are good to be used as outlines, but they should be human confirmed. Okay, this is what real machine learning is about. Human in the loop is human confirmed. Also, keep in mind that There's over 300 million unique visitors to Quora every month to ask and find answers. And I would say that that is actually now pretty low. They're growing. They're in a massive spike range. So I'm showing you Quora's personal numbers as a platform simply because this is one of the technologies that we use and is integrated. 42% of Quora users in the US report an average household income of $85,000. They're 4 times more likely to convert, especially business to business or software or real estate. There's a variety of different services that lean more towards digital conversion, and greater
Yep.
than 50% have college degrees. So these are the kind of metrics we're looking at. It's not a normal platform. By the way, TikTok is.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
it's good to show it too because it's like you were saying earlier, you know, as we build these answers, and you're going to see results pretty quickly, within 48, 72 hours or whatever, you're going to start um, seeing that the rankings come up for certain questions. Well, there's traffic there. There's people there that have a genuine interest in learning something, and then they're going to naturally gravitate towards your answer. They're going to follow your links or whatever, and you're going to start seeing immediate whatever it is that you're going for, sales, leads,
Yeah, it's
is all going to
huge.
come from that as you're building.
It's
So
huge.
you're earning while you're training the AI algorithm. So while you're building authority, you're earning. So this is it's different than your traditional just straight up SEO
It
where you're
really
having to
is.
wait for months and months.
Correct. Like what SEO would ever say, hey, what we're doing is actually going to create visibility right away, and you'll probably get traffic or impressions or visibility to your brand like right away.
Right.
You won't almost ever hear that. Okay, so we want you to earn. It's like earn while it learns. Earn while the AI learns. I love that idea.
Yes.
And it is, but it is that, and that's why Charles and I designed it like this because we know that it needs to be fed, and but at the same time, it's still about humans. And by expert and humans in the loop, this is why we do work with brands that have their own expert answering staff, because in some instances, it may be that you provide all of the content. We can even utilize answers that, again, we need to manage the content in order for our AI API systems to work and everything. But there's a variety of different ways we can even help a large organization of experts. And the case studies on this are amazing. So remember, we're delivering high quality experts answers representing your brand or products using the ultimate expert in the loop marketing process. That's what you really need. Just to, when you think about us, think about that. I love this. This is so on brand. This gets you sales, leads, and website traffic while you teach search engines and other digital AI platforms that your brand and product is the trusted solution and is a general rule around this topic. I love that idea. Okay? It focuses on your brand or your products. So you can earn while you train the global AI and build long-term digital real estate. And again, it's a little plug just for us so you know who you're dealing with, that we're not some fly-by-night operation. I hope that's clear already. But we've been training the search engines and the knowledge panels for a long time. Okay, I've been in the SEO space since 2005. In fact, Charles was right there during all that. He's probably single-handedly responsible for making my first company even be possible with the marketing campaigns that he was doing. We bootstrapped everything. We didn't even have any investor capital infusion. What we had was Charles. So that's how that works. And Charles is skilled at multiple things. Okay, but right now he's our CEO for Answer Marketing, CEO for Surround Sound SEO, while I work primarily with my other company, Locify, on local search. I come back and help with as many. I basically do what he tells me to do when it comes to marketing this stuff. And so I'm kind of the technical geek on all of this. And we're really excited about this because we've thought about going out and getting funding, and we're working on some of that because we know this is where the future is. Like we're all in. We're putting we're putting all of this in. Yeah, and again, just more about me, and just these are some of the training courses and live events. We were talking about the mastermind groups and the live events. Well, here's all of mine. And we only released our technologies, when it wasn't necessarily what it was when it came out of the gate. It was usually like 6 months or 7 months, and then once we understood how it worked, then we would teach it, and it would roll down. Charles is available also on LinkedIn, and he's really, really good at positioning. He's a very good technologist, and again, our fearless CEO at this point. So I just wanted you guys to know uh, who we are. You also most certainly see visible results within 24 to 48 hours with your expert answers ranking high inside of Quora. Now, again, there's more saturated questions and answers and less saturated answers. You might have 50 answers or 20 answers to a particular question. But in some cases, we have 150 or even 200, and you'll still see yourself in the top 3 to 5 positions, and oftentimes number 1 by week 2, depending upon how the quality of the answer is and how it's received. And we handle all that. So again, while we are training the AI long-term leading, we are kind of beating this drum over and over again, but we want you to get it. We want you to be where no one really is fully there yet. They're all getting caught up on the hype. We want you to be where the human and the expert in the loop matches the AI and start stacking and investing in yourself, in your answers, in your company's flywheel. That is the ability for you to get momentum based on human trust while you're building your technology infrastructure for answers. Okay, so please book an appointment with a team member, and we can get you started, because we got a little typo there, but answermarketing.agency. And when you go to our website, you'll just be able to go and book an appointment for now. It's kind of how we're rolling with that. And when you hit the website, just go to the bottom of the page, and you can feel free to opt in for our report. We're always adding more report stuff, and just schedule a consultation. Or you can reach out to either myself or Charles on LinkedIn for now. As we begin to get larger, we suggest you jump in and take our offer now, because as we have larger brands coming in, our minimum $3,000 to start, and the consultation alone could be worth that value. Just kind of a heads up on that. Okay, the consultation alone will be worth that. So we look forward to talking to you, and I really am glad that we were able to present this to you. And Charles, do you have anything to add to that?
Yep, not really. I think you've said it best. Glad to be here. Thanks for the presentation. This has been great, and we look forward to working with you guys.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you on the inside. Thanks, Charles.